Welcome to Israeli Frenemies, the only show you'll see coming out of Israel, Tel Aviv, Israel, where we get the right and left together to bash out the most heated subjects of the week. You can all guess what we're going to be talking about today. It's Trump Day here in Israel, well, at least for some of us. Yesterday, Trump made an historic speech, really an unbelievably historic speech, where he not only declared the city of Jerusalem as the capital city of Israel, but it actually admitted the truth that Jerusalem has been a Jewish city since ancient times. Uri, I'd love to hear your take on this because I'm ecstatic about it. I really am.
I'm not ecstatic about it. I think Trump, it was said yesterday by the representative of the Republican Party here in Israel, that in the last two rounds, all presidents, including Trump yesterday, have to sign this waiver of saying we're not moving the embassy to Tel Aviv, from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And in the last two previous times, he had to sign that, and it was against his election promise. Apparently, it was Netanyahu who asked him in back channels not to move the embassy. Now, I respect Netanyahu for doing that. Netanyahu did that exactly because what we see happening today, the violence as a result of this statement, and I think Trump, in many ways, just thought, with all due respect to Netanyahu,
let's look
I
at
have
the
my
VTR.
own constituency.
I think they want to look at the VTR. Right now, let's look at the VTR for some. We're getting some broadcasts right now.
I have determined that it is time to officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, consistent with the Jerusalem Embassy Act. I am also directing the State Department to begin preparation to move the American Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
So, as I was saying, I think Netanyahu was he understood as the Prime Minister of Israel that this might trigger violence, which he didn't want. Now, for Trump, it wasn't about Netanyahu or Israel, it was about his election promise, which he is determined to fulfill, especially when he's not successful in fulfilling all of his promises. I should say, don't get me wrong, I think it was a mistake by all American administrations so far not to recognize West Jerusalem as the capital of the State of Israel. The embassy of the United States should have been in Jerusalem since 1948 or 49, when Israel and the United States first had their diplomatic ties. Having said all that, I think that timing also has meaning. I think right now, when Trump hasn't fulfilled his other election promise,
Like what? Which one?
like promoting a peace deal between Israel and the Palestinians, the ultimate deal.
Well, that was your interpretation.
He is making himself crippled in fulfilling this promise. I think it's a mistake. It's an ego-driven mistake. I welcome the statement. I think the timing is poor. I think he should have done it in a context of a real renewal of the peace talks between Israel and the Palestinians.
I want to make a couple of things. Number one, I agree with you in terms of Netanyahu. I think that Israel, over the last 50 years at least, has done things actually to strengthen this Jerusalem not being the capital, like not allowing Jews to pray on the Temple Mount, like not taking the police into certain villages in Jerusalem where the radical Islamic terrorists have freedom of everything there. I think it's a big mistake, so I agree with you with that. On the other hand, in terms of Trump, he didn't promise to make a peace deal. In fact, he said, I'm not going to force that peace deal on. This was an election promise. The truth of the matter is, I'm not happy for Jerusalem. I'm not even happy for Israel. I'm happy for America. Okay. Because what I think Trump did was he called truth, truth. In other words, the world got so engulfed in diplomacy that we accepted lies of the Arabs that now the truth came out. And by the way, with all due respect, the violence that we're seeing now, this is not something new, like, because of Jerusalem, there's violence.
Oh, come on.
Let me explain to you. Let me explain what I'm saying. The whole Palestinian entity was created to destroy Israel. So the fact that you're saying we're going to have a 3 day, days of rage, were they the sweet child yesterday? In other words, Abu Mazen himself, so we're not going to allow dirty Jewish feet on the Temple Mount. In terms of Hamas, their charter, their charter comes out of a page of Mein Kampf. If you read it in
Ari,
English.
you know what?
One second.
Ari, no, but come on.
You just finished. You had a monologue for a couple of minutes of her. 1 second. So I want to understand something. You're saying the violence. You think the violence is because of Trump or Jerusalem, or could it be that the violence is because of a genocidal radical Islamic terrorist organization and ideology?
I think that Palestinians have patriotic sentiments.
To what?
To and they see Jerusalem as their capital as well.
When was it ever their capital?
They are willing. Let's not start with that.
It's fabrication of history. When was it their capital?
Okay, fine. You know what, Ari? Yes. You know what? When I saw President Trump's speech yesterday, I thought of you. You know, I was watching it.
Of course,
8
he made a very, very pro-Israel speech.
And you know what I thought about?
What did you think about?
When President Trump mentioned the Temple Mount, he talked about Haram al-Sharif.
Right.
And when he said Jews will pray in the Western Wall, Christians in the churches,
right,
and the Muslims in the mosque in Al-Aqsa.
Right.
So according to the same President Trump you're ecstatic about,
no, let's not mix
the
up things.
place of worship of Muslims
right.
is Temple Mount.
So what I said,
while you are,
so I'm explaining to you,
you have to be in the Western Wall.
I'm explaining your mistake again, Uri.
My mistake. It was President Trump.
But I asked you a historical question and you deflected. When was Jerusalem ever a Palestine capital?
You know, if Jerusalem was a capital of many entities.
When was it ever an Arab capital?
It was a Muslim capital.
When was it a Muslim? What year?
It was a Muslim major city for centuries.
No, it wasn't.
But with all due respect,
okay,
I'm not representing the Palestinians here.
That's wonderful.
Yes,
you are, first of all. I
believe.
If you call it
I don't.
If you call, not even you do. I'm saying if you call Jerusalem capital of Palestine,
I said
you are
that the
representing
Palestinians regard Jerusalem as their capital as well.
It's a fabrication.
De facto, they have a strong presence in Jerusalem for centuries.
Not for centuries.
Jerusalem is a major Palestinian symbol.
Incorrect.
It's the most important city for the Palestinians.
When did it start?
And to ignore it, that means you are once again, determining us, people who don't share your messianic beliefs, in bloodshed, in crazy war, driven by religion.
You want to make peace with the Muslims, the terrorists who are murdering Jews, but I'm the Messianic terrorist. I
am for peace and security.
This is a typical left-wing insanity.
Peace and security.
A Jew
peace and security. And you know, yesterday, Netanyahu, on the background of this Trump speech, was talking with a member of Knesset from his own party, Anat Berko, about how to get rid of Palestinian neighborhoods in Jerusalem.
No, what he
so
said,
why did he do it?
Are you exaggerating?
If Jerusalem has to be united, Benjamin Netanyahu.
Why do you always have to exaggerate with false claims? He did not say get rid of Palestinian neighbors. It's
exactly what Anat Berko is promoting.
No, so now she's promoting it.
She's promoting a different border within the city of Jerusalem.
There are no borders in the city of Jerusalem.
But that's what Anat Berko is promoting.
No, there are no borders.
Prime Minister Netanyahu met with her yesterday. I'm sure that our editor here can call her perhaps next week, and we can talk with her about that. And he met with her about her plan yesterday.
Can we go back to the subject we were talking about? Instead of always running away. In other words, I proved to you can't give me the date when it was an Arab capital, a Muslim capital, even a Muslim central city. You keep on 1 second.
Really? Really, Ari? It was never a Muslim city? So correct the president, because he said this is the place of worship for Muslims, while you are subjugated only to the Western Wall.
You done? Historical facts and truth, does it matter to you? Does it matter to you?
The historical fact that yesterday the President of the United States, after whom you were ecstatic about, said that the Haram al-Sharif and Al-Aqsa Mosque is the place for Muslims, and you are only to pray in the Western Wall.
I heard it. Now can I answer you? I'm not talking to Trump. He's not here. I'm talking to you, Uri Zaki, a left-wing activist in Israel. Does historical truths matter to you? Yes or no? That's all I'm asking. Why are you talking about Trump?
Yes.
So if it matters to you, you as a Jew, you as an Israeli, you as someone who cares about honesty and truth, the Haram al-Sharif, the Temple Mount, or the Al-Aqsa Mosque, or the Gold Dome, is that built on Jewish land or not? On the temple Jewish land, is it occupation of Jewish land?
As a believing Jew, from my subjective perspective, as a person of faith, this is the holiest place of all. But if I detach, if I see it in objective eyes, it was holy for the Yevusim, It was holy for the
Why
Romans
are you
with
running
Aelia
away
Capitolina
to what
being
we're
there.
talking about?
And for the last 1,000 years,
my goodness.
there is a mosque there.
Okay, the mosque is on occupied territory. They built it on our Temple Mount. Uri,
It was occupied by whom
So
exactly?
again, it was occupied first
From
from the
whom?
Crusaders and then the
Are
Muslims.
you a representative of the Byzantine
I don't have
Empire?
the Byzantine. Let me give you facts. Why are you screaming with such silly things? It was called Beit al-Muqdas. They themselves admit it was built on the temple. Why are you denying that?
You are
There's
talking to me
objective
about
truth.
historical facts.
Yes.
And you're ignoring reality where a religion
Is
of
historical-
over 1 billion people regard this
Who are
place
lying?
as holy
Who are
as you.
lying?
Not holier,
'Cause they're
but they regard
Uri,
them. So you want to ignore?
No, I'm not ignoring them. I'm doing exactly the opposite. I'm listening to them. They're fabricating history. You are accepting.
There's no mosque there.
Listen to me.
So President
Listen
Trump fabricated history yesterday.
Listen to me to the end, and I'll explain to you. Okay? They're making a claim that it's not part of Jerusalem was not Jewish, that the Temple Mount was not Jewish. They built a mosque on our Temple Mount.
And you're making a similar claim about them.
1 second.
That's the idiocy
Uri, you gotta let me finish the sentence.
of seeing everything in
You
crazy
gotta let me
religious
finish- you gotta-
eyes.
Good. Now, can you let me finish the sentence, please? You know the facts. The facts is that I'm right in this case. They built the mosque on our land. You are
They
defending.
built it
Can I finish?
on Byzantine Christian land, if anything.
Just because you talk over me, it will not change fabrications into the truth. Okay? If you can't argue the facts, just keep quiet for a second.
It's not the Byzantine Empire that was there
Listen,
before the
again,
Muslims?
if you can't argue the facts,
That's historical facts.
If you can't argue the facts that I'm talking
Wasn't
about,
it the Byzantine Empire
Oh, boy.
that controlled?
No, listen to me again. Again, it's very simple. I'm going to say it for the third time now, and let me finish a sentence you can answer. If you
don't
can.
know your history.
I know. So tell me, refute my history, okay? The Jews had the Temple Mount there. At the time that the Muslims came in, the only reason that mount was holy was because of the Jewish Temple Mount. They built a mosque. Don't listen to the end. They built a mosque at the Temple Mount. The fact that the whole Muslim world says the Jews have nothing to do with the Temple Mount and they built a mosque on our Temple Mount doesn't make it true. I don't care how many people say it.
You have a
Wait,
similar claim
here's
to
the
them. You
question.
say they don't have a right to be there. They say that you don't have the right
Uri,
to be there.
but history's on my side.
I'm saying that
History's on my
compromise,
side.
a sane compromise
Yes.
that will make no bloodshed over this place at the end of the day.
No bloodshed.
I think that our
No
God
bloodshed.
respects human lives more than stones.
Right.
إن هذه الإجراءات المستنكرة
وفي قلب فلسطين النابض.
So we're focusing on the second part of today's show on the ramifications of the Trump declaration, the Trump statement, and the possibilities of a eruption of violence.
It's called Islamic terrorism.
It's called
I
violence.
know you don't like to admit the truth. It's called Islamic terrorism.
Islamic terrorism, whatever.
Yeah, it's called Muslims running after Jews to murder them.
I should say, Ari,
Yes.
that I know that you understand them very well, because really,
When people run after Jews to murder them, it's called terrorism.
You have similar outlook on reality.
I do.
An outlook of either everything is mine and no one else can have anything. And I come from a place of compromise.
No, you come from a place of
place
accepting
of
terrorist
compromise.
demands. You come from a place of giving
so,
into terrorism.
So Trump is
you,
giving
Uri,
in.
not Trump. You. Don't
But
say
he
Uri.
talked yesterday.
You give in to
he
terrorist
talked
demands.
yesterday about, again, I'm repeating this
But
this
it has nothing to do with what we're
point.
talking about now.
He talked about, and what I'm talking about now is that it's a shame. It's a shame that fetishism and the belief
Fetishism? You mean defending truth?
A belief in stones is more important than
No,
human
a
lives.
belief in
And
truth,
this is something
Uri.
that you are willing.
Truth.
You are willing to get killed and kill for.
Right.
They
right.
are willing to get
Of
killed
course,
and kill
we're
for.
the same thing. Same thing exactly.
How is it
Uri,
different?
I'll explain to you how it's different. It's not the comparison at all. It is your total lack of integrity here.
Because
In
2,000 years ago-
No, now I'm going to talk. You're going to keep quiet. 1948 to 1967, Jerusalem was in Arab hands. Judea was in Arab hands. Did they slaughter Jews? Did they slaughter Jews? Yes or no? PLO, when was it created?
What do you mean?
1948 to 1967, Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, Gaza, and the Golan Heights was all in Arab control.
So
they slaughter Jews in
what
those
do you
years?
slaughter Jews?
Did the PLO was
They
created in
committed
those
terrorist
years?
attacks.
You're
But,
not-
and by
don't-
the
no, no,
way,
no, don't
during
deflect.
those years,
No,
there
wait,
were not
no,
less Palestinian citizens
no,
who died
you're not deflecting.
after IDF actions. You know that.
Sorry.
You are ignoring history. It's amazing.
I'm not gonna let you
it's
deflect.
amazing.
You deflect over again. Those
Well,
18, Uri,
look.
simple question. 18 years. 48 to 60.
By the way,
18 years.
what's the world?
No,
what's the-
Uri,
do you believe in
Uri,
evolution?
I'm not going to let you speak
Are
over me.
you- do you believe in
I'm not
evolution?
I'm not going to let you speak
I
over
want to
me.
know. I want to
We're not
know.
deflecting
You speak
evolution.
for
Again,
science
I'm
and
gonna-
historical. Do you
Science.
believe in evolution?
Science. Did I
Do
speak
you
science?
believe in
Did anyone
evolution?
speak science?
Do you
Uri,
believe
no,
in
no,
evolution?
Uri, we're
Do
not-
you believe in
Uri,
evolution?
Uri,
I have a question.
I don't care. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about now.
Okay. So
40
I don't care. Then I don't care about your questions.
Then don't answer the question.
I want to understand your mindset
So I'll explain
because
to
you have a very similar mindset
I will
to
explain to you.
those you criticize.
Well, those who I criticize.
It's not you
Uri,
guys
Uri,
are fighting a war.
Listen,
a crazy
I'm not gonna
war,
let it continue
and
this.
we are the victims for
You
it.
don't fight any war. Come on, do me a favor. You were sitting in an office. Keep quiet. Listen to me. 48 to 67. I'm going to say it again. 18 years. Answer the question. It's very simple.
I am not answering your
all right,
questions
so
as long
I will speak to the viewers.
as you do not
1948,
answer my question.
1948
Do
to
you believe in
1967.
evolution?
1948 to
Do you believe in
1967.
evolution?
For 19 years, the Arabs had control over Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, Gaza, and the Golan Heights. In those years, the PLO was created to destroy Israel. According to your ideology, if we would just make a compromise on the lands that they already had in 1948, everything would be honky-dory.
We have
they
the strongest military
Uri, you're not listening.
in the
I don't
Middle
care.
East.
This is deflection.
In
had
order
the
to
land.
save Israel
They
from
had the land.
messianic extremists,
Okay.
people from both sides,
I understand.
from the Jewish side,
The Jewish
and
side.
from the Muslim side.
If someone wants to
We
understand
need
why Israel's losing
to
the wars,
save Israel
it's internal
as
enemies.
a Jewish democratic homeland.
it, the internal enemies.
We have to have
This
a
is what it
Palestinian
is.
state next to us,
So left-wingers-
with a joint capital,
Right, left-wingers-
in Jerusalem.
left-wingers
and
call-
you will
You
see.
done? You done?
The
You done?
president you're ecstatic about.
Are you done?
He's going to put together a plan.
So you love him.
Which
So
I
you love
don't
him.
love anyone. I love
Listen,
myself.
Uri,
I love
Uri,
my
just
family.
stop.
I love my country.
Uri, I feel bad. You're sounding
But
ridiculous
this
already.
president, you will weep here with tears.
First you said he
because
wouldn't
this is
move
the
the embassy.
only plan.
Okay.
The only. And yesterday he talked about a two-state solution for the first time.
I'm gonna let you
and
go on.
trust me, not the last time. Because this is the only savior for the Zionist,
Your Messiah.
the
Messiah,
Zionist
it's your savior.
vision
Yes.
of a democratic Jewish homeland in the state of Israel, not a halachic, messianic
No one spoke about halakha.
state
No one
like
spoke
you
about it.
want.
No one spoke about it. Uri,
No,
you're
not
again.
an Israeli Iran,
Left
but
wing,
a free Israel.
Left wing
Zionist
stupidity at its
Israel.
core. All right. So did anyone here watching hear me speak about a Jewish country halacha? No one. This is
And you
left-wing.
still did not answer my question.
This is left
Do you believe in science? Do you believe in evolution?
Yes, I believe in science.
Do you
Now-
believe in evolution?
No, I don't believe in evolution. Now,
Ah, of course.
Good. Did I answer the question?
Yes,
Good.
because
Stop.
you-
No.
you
No,
and
no,
those
Uri,
people are the same.
Uri, I answered your question. Now keep quiet and answer the question. Everybody here's watching, and share this out. Everybody's watching. 48 to 67. Did they have the land that they're demanding today? Yes or no?
No, the Jordanians have it.
Did the Arabs have the land?
They are
Was there
Palestinians.
peace?
They are Palestinians.
So did
they
we
are not
occupy the
Jordanians.
land from the Palestinians?
You do not recognize
Did
them.
we
Yes, the Jordanians
All right.
occupied the territory from the Palestinians.
When did they occupy for the Palestinians? What year?
In 48.
48 it was British.
But there was a
When did
UN partition plan
When-
that we all
oh my
celebrated
God.
last week,
Fail.
on the 29th of
Uri,
November,
fail.
1947,
Fail. When-
that promised a Palestinian state
Wrong.
next to the state
Wrong.
of Israel.
Everyone looked this up. They promised an Arab state in Palestine. You are dishonest.
And they promised a Jewish state in
you are
Israel,
either
which is now
ignorant-
Israel,
you are either-
and that was
You are
Palestine.
either ignorant or
They
intentionally
did not.
dishonest.
Did
whichever
they
one it
speak
is.
about Israel?
Bottom line
did
is,
the U.S.
once
mention
again-
the word Israel?
Once again,
did the UN
once-
mention the word
yes,
Israel?
they did. The UN actually voted on Israel.
It said Israel.
Yes.
It said the partition plan.
No.
Excuse me, sir.
Okay.
You need to go back
I will.
to school
I will.
first to study evolution,
Okay.
and second, study
All right.
your country's history.
So, listen, can we stop
and,
deflecting?
And the
we stop
UN
deflecting?
resolution
All right.
talked about a Jewish and Arab state.
Yofi, so
When
this is the-
Israel
this is the way the
was
left-
founded,
Are you done?
it
Are you
adopted the
done?
name
Are you done?
Israel.
Are you done?
The biblical name Israel.
done?
And
Are you
the
done,
Arabs
Uri?
who live in this country regard
Finish.
themselves as Palestinians, and they adopted the national identity of Palestine.
Are you finished? Are you done? Now that everyone says that evolution has to do with everything here, because that's what Uri likes to do, is to deflect everything. Again, I'm going to say it again. Listen very carefully so you don't deflect to evolution, or maybe you want to deflect to something else.
No, I just want to understand
Listen to the question.
your perspective
oh
on
my
life.
goodness. Keep quiet for 2 seconds and listen. Again, 18 years, all the disputed land was in Arab control. Was there a compromise? Or in those years when the Arabs had control of that land, was the PLO created to destroy Israel?
PLO fought the Jordanian
Oh my
crown
goodness.
as well.
1964, the PLO was created with the goal of destroying Israel.
Right. In 1970, King Hussein.
I don't care. Were there settlements?
You don't care. You don't care about history.
Were there settlements in 1964?
What
Were there settlements in 1964?
No, there weren't.
Was Jerusalem in Jewish hands in 1964?
Half of it.
None of it.
What do you
None
mean?
of
In
it.
1964?
What they wanted.
Oh, for you?
Oh my God.
Hold on,
Was
hold on,
Judea?
hold on.
No. Good.
Breaking news.
Was the old
Breaking news.
Was the old?
Oh
my
when
God.
Trump told
was the old city of
excuse me,
No,
sir,
no.
Wasn't
you're
the Knesset in Jerusalem before
Hello?
64?
Was the old city of Jerusalem in
For
Jewish?
you?
Was the old city?
No.
No. Good. Was Judea in
No.
Jewish hands?
No.
Was Samaria?
No.
Was Gaza?
No.
Was the Golan Heights?
No.
Was there peace?
No.
End of story. Your whole
End of story.
That's right.
So but the fact that there was no
I'll
peace
let you talk
there-
now. I'm done.
Okay, in
Go ahead.
1964, was there peace with the Egyptians?
Were there peace with the Egyptians?
Wasn't
they still want to do is destroy us.
Wasn't Sinai under Israeli control?
No.
In 67 wasn't under Israeli
64, you said.
Okay, 1967.
Oops.
Oops. Okay, 1967 wasn't
we won the
Sinai-
war.
Or
Yes.
56 wasn't it under Israeli control?
No.
Was there peace with the Egyptians?
No, that's the point.
No, but this.
Oh my
but
God,
this
you
month,
just- thank you,
This month,
thank you, thank
we
you.
celebrated.
Thank you, Uri.
We celebrated
You just
40
proved my point.
years of peace with the Egyptians.
Keep going.
The fact that there was no peace at one point doesn't mean there will
Keep
there will
going.
be no peace ever.
You just proved my point. I want to thank you. You just proved my point. You proved my point. This has nothing to do with land. I appreciate you. Thank you. I'm going to keep very calm.
It's not.
Thank
It's
you,
not
Uri, I
only
appreciate
about
it.
land.
You said 19.
It's about national identities.
Really?
It's yes about ethnical-
1929. What was the national identity?
It's about national aspirations and a
1929.
compromise, my friend.
When they slaughtered the
a
Jews in Hebron.
compromise.
When they slaughtered Jews,
Look,
1929. What was
Jews,
what were the
Jews
national
slaughtered-
aspirations?
The aspirations were that Jews, they saw that Jews are coming to Israel in order to
was
keep
no
them
state.
out, which happened.
There was no
There was
state.
no state, but there was a national
So
movement.
you're saying the Arabs in Hebron murdered ultra-Orthodox Jews because they saw in the future that Zionists would come?
I urge you to read
I urge
a
you to
book
stick to the facts.
called Tarsat about this particular moment in history. And yes, it was driven. It's sad. It's horrible.
sad.
It's horrible.
Is it
Terrorism.
justified?
Okay, so we had a very heated show today. I guess it's because it touches the really heart and soul of each of us and each of ours most basic beliefs and ideology. As the show is called, we call it Frenemies. That means we're both friends and adversaries, I would say, not enemies, not God forbid. We're from the same country, the same people. But we have heated discussions. But maybe I'll talk about a different issue. Both of us have been traveling, and lately our viewers didn't see much of us together here. That's because both of us are traveling for promoting Zionist causes in the world, perhaps with different angles. But I'm actually going to be in Ethiopia next week, so I'm not going to be here during our next show. I know that Ari was in Australia and in the United States. So next week, I don't know who's going to sit in this seat, but I'm sure Ari will give him a good fight. So that's it for this show.
All right, thank you for watching, everybody. You're watching Israeli Frenemies here on ILTV. We're broadcasting out of the beautiful city of Tel Aviv. Please do the shares out on your Facebook and social media channels. See you next week from Tel Aviv. Shalom, everyone.